I've been looking for silver linings. Vivek and Elon Musk doing the Doge thing. Let's hope that turns out well.
And Ron Paul.
I'm glad Ron Paul's in the mix.
Ron Paul, what's he doing?
Oh, dude, Ron Paul. Right before the election, Ron Paul came out and said, "You know what? Yeah, I don't think like any of these people are good or for freedom. But if you're cutting down the government, I know exactly where the bodies are buried. Call me in, put me in, coach, and I will help you every step of the way." And it's been ever since the election, every day, Ron Paul's getting in more and more. Which for guys like me, guys who grew up and really loved the whole idea of America, and then it came crashing down on us like a fucking piano in a Roadrunner cartoon. This is like Christmas is real territory. Like Santa is real territory
one
for
of the
us.
Parts of the Trump administration that I'm excited about. Like I hope this goes well.
Yeah.
With the Doge
against
thing,
that?
First of all, I would recommend anybody out there $500 worth of Dogecoin real quick. Go ahead and knock that out because Doge is going to be getting a lot of Google trends as he cuts $2 trillion out of the budget, as he says. But I think that this is kind of a shitty job for Vivek. It's a made up position, really, if we're being honest. Like this isn't secretary of whatever or like ambassador to who's he what's it. Like this is a shit tier position. This is the made up thing that you give your buddy. So because Elon has 18 different jobs, he's not going to be spending a ton of time on this. This is a position where he can kind of come and go as he pleases. So to give Vivek this is a little insulting, if you ask me. But I hope they do find ways. I hope they do a good job. They're taking applications for Doge agents on Twitter. On Twitter, Elon, there's an official government X account now. And it's Doge, and I think it even has the Doge dog on it to be extra goofy. And it says something like, "We're taking these kind of applicants. You'll work these hours, blah blah blah, cutting out government waste and inefficiencies. Elon and Vivek will look over the top 1% of applicants personally."
Do you have to be a blue check mark to apply for the job? Because I saw on Reddit that you do. You need to pay Elon $8 to apply to work there. But it's Reddit, and I don't just take that at face value.
I mean, when
it's a good idea though.
Yeah, rental applications cost money. You don't want the thing getting flooded with useless clutter that would defeat the whole process, right? Then you end up with a new Mountain Dew flavor being Hitler did nothing wrong.
Yeah, and we never even got to taste it.
Don't usually cost money.
But rental applications do.
So you can
is there a rental application we're talking about, or are we just trying to like stretch it?
I'm just giving an example of an application that costs money to put in. All right.
No, Woody, if you go on like freelance sites, they all have those like boost your profile thing. I mean, I don't know. I do a lot of freelancer hiring, and it's to the point where if you don't pay for one of those, you're not getting looked at. Like everybody who you go through the first 10 or 20, and those are all boosted.
I see how that fits.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, you get 100,000 Indians applying for everything.
Either way, like I hope I don't actually believe they're going to keep a public list of all the retarded nonsense our government spends money on. That was like part of the promise. But if I can't think of a more compelling way to like win people over into that cutting waste thing than to actually have a public list where it's like, hey, did you know that we spent $330,000 for Bosnians to learn how to square dance in a culturally appropriate way, or like whatever the fuck nonsense. It's like just, oh, do you know how much do you think a door hinge costs at Fort Bragg? If you guessed $35,000, you're almost there. It's 40. Like just the ridiculous nonsense where we get taken for a ride.
That's criminal, though.
I'm sorry. We're talking about cutting. Trump's talking about cutting disability for veterans, which on the surface sounds like, oh my gosh, like that, these poor people. But if you know any veterans, they all get disability for like a freaking sore elbow from playing softball, like while they were a serviceman. Like, dude, it's a job that pays for life seemingly. And I just have so many veteran friends, and most of them are getting disability afterwards. And a lot of them have like really athletic jobs. And
they brag about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when they're still in there, they're like, oh my God, does your fucking pinky finger hurt? Get that documented. You'll want that documented for when you get out and apply for disability. And like, it is a widely done scam. just fucking scam as scam can be. And if Trump takes away veterans scam, I mean, those are our heroes, right?
I hope he does that thing.
No, I mean, there's a huge
around.
difference between like someone who's actually like so mentally fucked or so physically fucked that they need this assistance, and those people need it 100%. But there are people like you're talking about who
send them back to war,
and then
if they say no, then they're not crazy.
A month.
I was thinking you could just have some guys, sneaking around, throwing firecrackers at their feet, dumping them out of wheelchairs, stuff like that. Like if they
want Antifa to come back,
it's genius, Kyle.
Antifa can handle this. Yeah, it's their bag. They enjoy this. They enjoy this kind of ruffian behavior. Anyway, so I mean, somebody needs to make sure these veterans aren't stealing, like what he says. This is,
or welfare fraud. All sorts of fraud out there.
How does welfare fraud work? Do you pretend you have kids you don't really have, or
where
you be black and you get money?
you basically get paid under the table and pretend you don't make any money. Like a lot of illegals work on.
Dude,
like illegals qualify for Medicaid, housing vouchers, and WIC, which is food.
Yeah.
And so even if they make enough to support themselves through like under the table cash payments, they'll pretend not to, and then we got people double dipping.
When I was,
have you guys
19,
ever gone to a food bank? Oh, I see. All right.
No.
Oh man, I heard, like, I always thought it was like really ghetto, or I just assumed it was. But then I heard that people were, I don't know, they framed it as taking advantage of it because you show up and get free food, and these people didn't need it. But so now I'm thinking maybe I'm like leaving money on the table by not going to food banks because I'm really cheap, really cheap. So I kind of need like approval to go do it from somebody.
Dude, did you see this? Like, there's like a viral clip that this person, it was some Indian guy, posted, and like he thought it was going to be like a life hack style clip that people would enjoy, and he was like, and it went super viral. He's like, guys, you're not going to believe how I am saving money in the United States. Step 1, stop buying food. Step 2, go to all local churches. They are all over the place, believe it or not. And you walk in and say, I want food, and they give it to you. I have been doing this for 5 years. And it's like, it's just whatever. And everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is not what this is for.
I got to hide it, though, if I do it. I can't tell my girlfriend. That's too much.
I used to go to tons of like Goodwill's type stores to get TVs and shit to blow up. And every now and then I'd be like, we can still shop here, right? Because that's a bargain. Like,
that ties in. I was starting to tell my other story, and I got that one too. Like when I was young and broke, like just getting started in life, I tried to buy shit at Goodwill or something like Goodwill, and they wouldn't sell to me. I wasn't broke enough. I'm like,
what?
My money's not green. Yeah. And then I lived in this.
What did they say? Wait, what? How did that come up?
There was a couch.
You're walking in there with like a spat and a top hat.
All I had was like a shitty futon that like was susceptible to racking forces and shit. Like you couldn't use it and it wasn't comfortable. And I wanted a couch, and I was like, can I buy this couch? They're like, no, you have to qualify to buy here. And I'm like, fuck. Like I made $14,000 a year. Now, granted, that was the 90s. Call it what? 25,000 a year nowadays. Still broke, right? That's not a good living. And I was barely making ends meet. I lived in low-income housing, and I didn't get a break on the rent. Right? And again, they're like, oh, $14,000 a year. Yeah, that's low income. All right. But everyone who actually gets a break on the rent is earning zero. I'm like, zero? They're just lying. No one earns zero. Like, how can you earn $0 a year? But that's what it took to qualify for low-income housing, and I just never got a handout.
Yep. People like you, the hard workers, getting fucked over by the people taking advantage of it. It's not fair.
So,
Mr. Ramaswamy is.
How long did you go without a couch then, since you couldn't afford?
Well, I had the futon, so I don't know. Probably less than a year. But
God damn it!
You just go like, I'm not poor. I'm a Buddhist, and that's why we're going to fuck on my mattress on the floor tonight. The girl I met at the bar.
I had a mattress on the floor at the time. I didn't have bed money.
Dating on hard mode is such an unappreciated skill. I'll never forget that guy that I knew when I was working in Atlanta when I was 19. He must have been 23 or so. And I've told the story before, so I'll be quick about it. But like, he had moved from Pennsylvania down to Atlanta following his buddy because there's a group of 3 friends, and one of the friends was chasing the girl. So all 3 of these male friends moved down to like be the 3 amigos. And this guy couldn't afford to ship all of his belongings down. He could afford the plane ticket. He could afford first month's rent. Then he needed to get a job. And then eventually he'd pay to have his stuff in storage in Pennsylvania shipped down to him and fill his apartment out. Well, he didn't really take to selling cars. And so he didn't sell any for a while. So the storage place sold his belongings to whoever.
Yeah.
They auctioned off his belongings like one of those Discovery Channel shows, just all of his shit. And I mean all of his shit. So I went over there one night to hang out with the three of them. We're drinking beers, hanging out on the balcony and shooting firecrackers. We're all like, I think I'm 19 and they're like early 20s, 21, 22. And at one point I went back and because Travis was like, have you seen dude's bedroom? And I'm like, no, why? He's like, come here, let me show you something. And I go in there and he has an air mattress with a sleeping bag. And those are his only possessions. And I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
His only possessions are an air mattress, and it's flat, dude. It's flat as a flitter, as my grandma would say. It is all the air has gone out of this fucking thing. And then there's a sleeping bag on it. And I swear to God, he got pussy on that thing one night. So
Dude, I can top that.
He brought a girl back and fucked her on it.
I was married and Jackie was pregnant.
That's why it was flat.
And I got her, we didn't have box springs. We just had mattresses on the floor of our bedroom because I didn't start off wealthy. And so Christmas rolls around and I'm like, I'm getting this woman mattresses because she's pregnant and it's getting harder and harder to get out of bed. And she thought that was a bad Christmas present. She just doesn't understand utility.
You got her a second.
Did you get her a
mattress to
card?
put it on?
A box spring. A box
Oh,
spring.
you got her a box spring?
It's a ceiling.
Honestly, Woody, that's in great material. You got something you needed, and she should have appreciated it. I hope she apologized profusely.
I'll bring it up and see how
You
that
should
goes.
bring it up. See what she says.
What? Your wife was pregnant, and all you had was a mattress on the floor?
Yeah.
Oh
were
my
saving money
God!
for our
It's like
first
Oliver
house.
Twist. What century was it where you were living this poor? That's
Previous
terrible.
one.
1995, maybe? No, we were married in 96, so maybe like 99, 98.
Yeah, those are hard years.
Wow.
Those
Yeah.
are hard years for the economy.
How many box mattresses do you have now?
I don't know. All we need.
More than you can count.
Dude,
Don't
he's
even,
flush
yo,
with
no,
them.
go ahead and brag, Woody. Tell us
Yeah.
how many Christmas trees you have. Tell them how many
I
Christmas
don't
trees you
know.
have.
I don't know what this year will bring. We're trying to tone it down. Last year we must. What did I have? 5 Christmas trees, something like
At
that.
You did. You were upset about it, and it made me laugh.
Man's got a half dozen Christmas trees, each more grand than the last.
If you got your wife like a box spring part, would that be like sentimental for her?
Dude,
Would
it
she go
should
like,
be
"Oh,
nostalgic.
Woody,
Yeah, right. Get her
this
a
is all
box
I ever wanted. Happy anniversary, honey."